In the shadows of Mount Hood and situated between the Columbia and Willamette rivers sits the city of Roses, Portland, Oregon, the sixth most populated city on the West Coast. It's home to numerous coffee houses, microbreweries, and was the terminus of the famed Oregon Trail. Today, the eyes of the motorsports world have been focused on the winding 1.9-mile road course, Portland International Raceway, for a stock car doubleheader. A.J. Allmendinger won the day's opener in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Who's going to take home the hardware in the ARCA Menards Series West Nightcap? Find out next right here, live on Flow Racing. Hi there, everybody. My name is Charlie Krall. I'll have all the action for you here this afternoon. And, well, it's not quite been a Chamber of Commerce weather day here at Portland International. 61 degrees as we get ready to go racing under heavy overcast skies and a constant threat of rain. There you see it, folks. Weather radar looks like it might get interesting as we go on throughout the Portland 112 here. As we said, the big story today, of course, going to be the weather and who will adapt best to some what we saw in that Xfinity Series race could be some very adverse conditions. Field now lining up down there on pit road. There's some hardy race fans, and what a great turnout we had here all day today. A lot of them they're used to this kind of weather here up in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, it tends to get a little moist up here. So these race fans very prepared for a day out in the elements. As again, the field now assembling down on pit road, and there's a good look. A little moisture on the 17 car. Connor Mosack strapped in and ready to go. He was in that NASCAR Xfinity Series race earlier this afternoon. We'll talk about him here in just a few moments. Had a fairly up and down day. Started on the upside, ended on the downside. We'll see if he can rebound and end it with a positive here in the nightcap, as engines have been fired, I believe, down on pit road. We should be ready to roll off here in a matter of moments for the first of two pace laps. And there you see, folks, it's going to be a challenge for these 16 drivers lined up and ready to roll here at Portland. Little bit of precipitation coming down. That's manageable. That's manageable. If it's any harder than that, could turn challenging conditions into adverse conditions as the field does indeed roll off of pit road. Oh, what a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon. I wish I was out playing golf a little bit earlier today. Don't want to go playing in the rain, though. That's not the way to do it. But again, lots of race fans still here at the racetrack as the field does indeed roll off pit road. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at today's race analysis for the Portland 112. The fourth race of 11 for the West Series here in 2022. We're going to go 57 laps today around the 12-turn 1.9-mile road course here at Portland. That translates to 112 miles. We're going to have a competition caution at or near lap 28. And the teams will be able to make adjustments and add fuel. All the adjustments can be made except for changing tires. No scheduled tire changes today. Only emergency tire changes, and that includes going to and from these wet weather tires that they're going to elect to start on here in the early going. This is the sixth West Series race in the history here at Portland International Raceway. And of course, NASCAR Hall of Famer, newly elected NASCAR Hall of Famer Herschel McGriff, winning the first one back in 1986. Jim Inglebright picked up the win here back in 2009. Patrick Long, Luis Martinez Jr., and Greg Pursley picked up wins in 2010, 2011, and 2012. And then we came back last year after a little hiatus, and of course, Taylor Gray picked up the win in a controversial and exciting finish here last season. When you take a look at today's Bounty Rookie Spotlight, we mentioned his name here a few minutes ago. Connor Mosack driving the number 17 Chevy for team owners Bruce Cook and Steve McGowan. Connor raced earlier today in that NASCAR Xfinity Series race, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing teammates with Ty Gibbs. There's a good look at that 17 car. Connor had a pretty good run going. Got wadded up in someone else's problems late in the race and didn't quite get the finish he was looking for. But he's got a ton of road course experience, including not only today, but he was here running sports cars just a couple of weeks ago. And how about this? That race was run in the rain, so Connor knows exactly what to expect once we get racing here today. And of course, he's looking to give Bruce Cook and Steve McGowan their second victory of the season. They won last time out with 16-year-old Leland Honeyman at the wheel down at Kern County Raceway Park. Field circulating down the backstretch. This is turn 10 right here. 10, 11, and 12, the final complex of corners before we come back out onto the long main straightaway here. The main straightaway also a drag strip. Very challenging and technical set of corners right there. You want to get these corners right to set up for this long front stretch, carry as much speed as you can down into the Festival chicanes. Talk about a very challenging set of corners, but we're going to talk about that here once we get ready to go green in just a couple of minutes. Before we do that, let's take a look at our General Tire Pole Award winner. We did have our practice and General Tire Pole qualifying session earlier this afternoon, and the Pole Award winner, Daniel Dye, recent high school graduate, picking up that General Tire Pole Award. It's held in the rain, so it wasn't a blistering fast average speed, 73.009 miles per hour, but he was 0.6 of a second quicker than Jake Drew, who's going to line up alongside on the front row. Other General Tire Pole Award winners here in 2022 so far include Sammy Smith down at Phoenix International Raceway, Tanner Reif down at Irwindale, and PJ Pedroncelli picked up the General Tire Pole Award there at Kern County about a month ago. There's a good look at Daniel Dye running a very familiar looking car and familiar number for those fans who follow Daniel in the ARCA Menards series. This entry in conjunction with Bill McAnally Racing here out on the West Coast. And as you can see, rain continuing to come down, so the drivers have the windshield wipers on as they circulate now. 1 to go signal given at start finish that time around. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at our General Tire starting lineup. Daniel Dye, Jake Drew up on the front row. We're going to talk about Jake a lot throughout the course of the day. Connor Mosak, Tanner Reif back in row 2. Todd Souza and Takuma Koga. Great qualifying run for Takuma in the number 7 car. PJ Pedroncelli, Bridget Burgess back in row 4. Eric Nascimento and Austin Herzog round out the top 10. Joey East and Cole Moore back in row 6. Vince Little, Dale Quarterly, Paul Pedroncelli, and Andrew Little round out the 16 cars ready to rock and roll here for 57 laps, 112 miles. And remember, we talked about that tricky chicane, and if you watch that Xfinity Series race, you know it can be very adventurous getting down there into those corners. But here's the scoop here in the ARCA Menards West today. We're not going to use that chicane on the initial start and on any ensuing restarts. Hopefully keep the chaos down a little bit. Those of you who remember watching this race last year remember the controversy at the finish. Jake Drew going down into turn 1 on the final lap restart. Got a little shove from behind. He missed the corner. And although he crossed the start-finish line in first, was not awarded the win. Taylor Gray actually picked up the win last year. So trying to prevent all that chaos and confusion that we had last year, we're going to blast right through that chicane here as we get ready to come to the green. Field making their way through turns 10, 11, and 12. Chuck Welch going to bring the pace car down onto pit road. Field now in control of Daniel Dye and Jake Drew, looking for Joe Contreras to wave that green flag. And folks, it is time to rock, roll, and rumble here in Portland. Green flag is out. Well, now it's out. Let's go racing here in Portland. As you can see, some precipitation coming down, some rooster tails coming off these race cars as we blast through turns 1, 2, and 3 on this initial start. Field now braking. Ooh, Daniel Dye, Jake Drew, both off the racetrack. Oh, holy moly, both of these cars. Jake gonna try to keep it off of the tire barrier. Wow. Both of those drivers charging very hard down into that corner, and that's going to allow Tanner Reif to pick up the lead. Connor Mosack going to slide into that second position. Todd Souza up to third as the top two. Daniel Dye and Jake Drew off the racetrack in the first corner here at Portland. Very tricky track conditions as Tanner Reif skating all over the racetrack there as he tries to get the power down through turns 6 and 7. Now down that curved, long backstretch, facing some heat from Connor Mosack. Making their way through turns 10, 11, and 12. Tanner Reif gingerly making his way. Ooh, he's going to kick that car sideways, maybe not so gingerly. Tanner Reif off of the final corner, down the front stretch. He will lead lap 1 here at Portland, and now we are going to have to whoa it down right here to make our way into that festival chicane. Connor Mosack with the preferred line down into that tight right-hander. Can he make it stick? Tanner Reif now with the advantage through that second corner. Mosack still side by side. The battle for the lead now down into turn 4. Connor Mosack now with the lead through turn 4. Here comes Todd Souza starting to put some pressure on Tanner Reif. These cars slipping and sliding down through this very twisty, windy, and technical section of the racetrack. Through turn 6 right here. Now into turn 7. Souza a little sideways. Let's see if we can take a replay, another look at that first corner. There goes Daniel Dye and Jake Drew, both of them sliding off the racetrack. Tanner Reif almost following them. Tanner very fortunate to keep that car on the racetrack, and right there, Jake Drew backing it into that outside wall. Doesn't look like there's a lot of damage. And here's that battle for the lead. First time down into the chicane. Tanner Reif had the advantage right there, but Connor Mosack, he's going to get the advantage through this corner right here. That's all he needed. Connor Mosack jumping out to the lead, and right now he is starting to stretch that advantage out. Stretching that lead out over Tanner Reif in the second position. Already a 2.8 second advantage after one lap at the front of the field. We talked about adverse conditions, folks. There you see it. You can't even see down that front straightaway. Imagine what it's like inside those race cars. There's a good look at Bridget Burgess in the 88 car. Bridget missed all of that chaos down into the fourth corner on that initial lap. She jumped from, well, her initial starting position back in the 8th position all the way up into the top 5. Bridget Burgess right now running in that 5th position. And there's how far back Daniel Dye has fallen. Daniel falling all the way back into the 7th position behind Austin Herzog in the 16. Could have been way worse for Daniel Dye in that opening corner. Dale Quarterly with some issues in the number 32 car. He's already pulling onto pit road. Good battle for position here between Daniel Dye and Austin Herzog. Dye going to slip on by and take that 6th position. Meanwhile, trying to close the gap now on Bridget Burgess in the number 88 car. Paul Pedroncelli in the 31 car, also with some early race problems. He's going to pull that car off the racetrack and down behind pit wall. So that'll give us 14 cars remaining on the racetrack here. And here's a good battle for position here. This for the 5th position. Ooh, Bridget Burgess going to miss that corner. She's going to have to come to a stop. Stop and go. There you go. That's what happens when you miss that corner, just like we saw in the Xfinity Series race earlier today. Have to come to a complete stop, and that's how much ground she is going to give up. Daniel Dye stretching that advantage out. There's Eric Nascimento coming down pit road with some early race problems. Like he and another car may have had some issues, and there's some problems on Andrew Tuttle automobile. Andrew in the number 39, looks like the right rear, or excuse me, the left rear suspension on that car may have given way. That car tilting over to the driver's side. And that's a tough break right there for Eric Nascimento, folks. He was in position last year to fight for the victory. As we jump back up to the front of the field, there's Connor Mosack in the 17 car. He was one of the 2 drivers that missed that chicane on that final lap. Eric Nascimento crossed the finish line last year in the 2nd position. Didn't get that 2nd finishing position, unfortunately. And now early race problems have him down on pit road. There's the gap between the top 3 as they work their way down the front stretch. Connor Mosack with a pretty decent gap now, 3.2 seconds over Tanner Reif in 2nd. Another 2 seconds on Todd Souza back in 3rd. Here's a good scuffle for position right here. Jake Drew in the 6 car trying to knife his way back through the field. This, the battle for 9th, 10th, and 11th on the racetrack. Actually, no, this couple of positions have changed on that lap as Austin Herzog almost missing that first corner. This is the battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Ooh, things starting to tighten up at the front of the field a little bit. Connor Mosack had 3 seconds on Tanner Reif. As we see Joey East off the racetrack, he's got those front brakes locked down, wanting to keep it out of that tire barrier. Vince Little sideways as well. We talked about the difference between challenging conditions and adverse conditions right there at the top of the show. I have a feeling we have officially converted into challenging conditions. There's a good look at Joey East sliding off the racetrack. He's got those brakes locked, folks. He does not want to make it all the way to those barriers. And you see the grass and mud build up on the valence of that number 54 car. Making his way through the Festival chicane and now down into turn 4. Again, stretched out the advantage back to about 3.3 seconds. So looks like he's able to put a gap on Tanner Reif pretty comfortably. We see Eric Nascimento back down onto pit road. We're going to go back under the hood on the number 4. Also see them reaching inside to defog that windshield. Again, with all the moisture here, that's going to be something these drivers fight continuously throughout the course of the day. Want to make sure they can get a clear view out that front windshield. There's the gap up at the front of the field. Connor Mosack working his way. Turn 7 and down the back stretch. Time we've seen the field, the leaders catch the tail of the field. Andrew Tuttle in the 39 car again fighting that rear suspension issue. You see that car leaning way over on that left rear tire. He's going to give the leader plenty of room off of turn 12 and down that long front straightaway. Gap up at the front, about the same that time by. Tanner Reif looking like he is fighting the handle through that second corner there through the chicane. cost him a little extra ground as he tries to keep Connor Mosak within sight. If you did watch that NASCAR Xfinity Series race earlier today, it was an exciting one, no doubt about it. But eventually, after a start in conditions very similar to this, the track eventually started to dry out. We had a little bit of a break in the weather. The track started to dry out. There's a look at it again. And as you can see, that rain starting to build up once again in the Portland area. So it looks like we're going to be dealing with Mother Nature here for a little while, but perhaps we can get to the point where this racetrack starts to dry out one more time. As there you see the gap between the top two. Connor Mosak, who's got a lot of experience here at Portland, a lot of road course experience in general. He's run in the Trans Am Series the last couple of years, and he was here at Portland within the last few weeks and ran a race in the rain. He knows exactly what to expect on this racetrack. He knows where the water's going to build up. He knows where it's going to not build up. He knows what line to take down into this, particularly this corner right here, that challenging turn 1, 2, and 3 complex, the Festival chicanes. Connor just on a cruise, a wet weather cruise, but a cruise nonetheless, as he has a 4.7 second gap now over Tanner Reif in the second position. Todd Souza, Takuma Koga, Jake Drew. Jake now all the way back up into the top 5. Jake's a driver that also has a lot of road course experience as we check up on Todd Souza there in the number 13 car. Top of the good run going here in the early going. Former winner on a road course here in the ARCA Menards Series West. He picked up the win back at Utah Motorsports Campus back in 2008. So he knows how to turn left and right as he skates it through the S's before that long backstretch as we see Cole Moore with some issues. Cole bringing the 99 car down onto pit road. You see that windshield wiper not quite functioning as it was intended to function. I don't know if Cole maybe caught some debris out on the racetrack, or the demands of driving at a high speed on the racetrack have broken the windshield wiper arm there. But in any case, that could be the reason why he is down on pit road, as we see Jake Drew trying to work his way back up. He's got some traffic directly in front of him. Eric Nascimento, who is unfortunately not on the lead lap, but these were the two cars factored into that finish here last season. Looks like Eric's going to give Jake plenty of room to the bottom side as they work their way off of turn 12 and down the front stretch. Jake trying to track down Takuma Koga. Actually, as a matter of fact, he did track down Takuma on that lap, so moved Jake Drew into the 4th position. Takuma back to 5th. There's Takuma in the number 7 car directly behind Eric Nascimento. So although Jake Drew got off the race course on the very opening corner of the opening lap, he has done a very nice job working his way back up into the top 5. There's a good look at Takuma Koga in the number 7 car. Takuma from Nagoya, Japan. Usually gets the award for the longest commute to these ARCA Menards West races. There's Andrew Tuttle, who has come to a stop down in the chicane. Joey East also having some issues down there. He's going to have to come to a stop before he passes through. Andrew Tuttle having some issues down in turns 1, 2, and 3, and that will put us under the caution flag for the first time here this afternoon. And this is the break that Daniel Dye and Jake Drew were both looking for. Let's see what happened to Andrew. Oh, look at that. That car all sorts of locked up down there as Andrew tried to make it down into the chicanes. And it looks like when he was about to get back going, killed the engine. And There we see a little bit of debris on course as well. But that'll put us under the caution flag for the first time here today with 9 laps in the books, working lap 10. It looks like the team giving up on that windshield wiper. No, they got it back up. All right, that's the way to do it. As the Boy Scouts say, always be prepared. Looks like they are prepared to put another one on there. Has to be absolutely miserable for Cole Moore right there to, you know, Cole's got a pretty good car. That's a Bill McAnally car, so Cole's going to be in a competitive situation here, but to not even be able to see. They're going to come back to the driver's side and try to defog that inside, the inside of that windshield. Austin Herzog down on pit road as well. Looks like Austin is done with whatever service. Nope, he's going to pull into the pit stall ahead. There we go. And although we do have a break coming up on lap 28, these teams can't pit as needed. He's down for a little window wipe and off to rejoin the tail of the field. And that's how challenging it is here today, folks. It is some of the most difficult conditions I can remember. Unfortunately, when you get as old as I am, you tend to have a pretty long memory, and I don't remember an ARCA race, whether it was an ARCA Menards Series National Tour or East or West race. I don't remember a race with conditions this challenging in a long time. But hey, how about that? A lot of fans still sticking around. I love it. This would be me. I've done this. There you go. Sticking around for all the action here. And it looks like they're in a pretty good mood. We love it. Yeah. Wave your hands. You're on screen here at Portland International Raceway. There we go. That's how you do it. First time the NASCAR National Touring Series has been here to Portland since 2000, a 22-year gap. Last time one of the National Series visited here was the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series back in 2000. And boy, you talk about hardy race fans. These folks have been waiting a long time to get big-time stock car racing here at Portland International Raceway. And they have turned out in droves today. And a lot of them have stuck around. The main show, the NASCAR Xfinity Series show here earlier this afternoon, went off in front of a full house. And a lot of them sticking around to check out the ARCA Menards Series West action. Good to see all these hardy race fans taking in a full day of stock car racing. Of course, that Truck Series race here back in 2000, won by Andy Houston. Andy always found a way to get up to the front of the field in these chaotic races. He would have excelled on a day like today, I know it. Pits are open, officially open, if anybody wants to head on down and come to the attention of their crew without penalty. Working lap 11 of 57 under caution for the first time here today. Made a putt on a wet day. I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for a while yet. That's it. And that's what we're here. That's what we feel like today, folks. It is a good day to be a duck. That is for sure. Connor Mosack leading the way over Tanner Reif. Todd Souza back in third. Good run for Todd. He had a miserable day here last year, folks. He had a pretty solid qualifying effort, but could not get that car to run. With some controversy whether or not there were some issues with the fuel system on that car, and I believe it came back that he had had some tainted fuel. Somehow water got in the fuel and would not let the car run. When I say tainted fuel, it's not the fuel was bad. Somehow there was some water in there and did not allow that car to run. It's, yeah, you need to burn the fuel, not water to put the fuel out. And unfortunately, Todd had a very, very long day here last year, as I won't say most, but some of the top cars making their way down pit road. And again, no tire changes here today. No scheduled tire changes. They can make any adjustments they want. And right now, they're all coming down to get those windshields defogged. And now we got a new look up at the front of the field. Todd Souza will assume the lead with Jake Drew and Takuma Koga right behind. Got some desire, some want to right there. Get up on the hood, get that windshield cleaned. Mud and the grass and the grit out of the grill of the 54 car. Of course, Joey East off course here a few moments ago. Connor Bosack getting the, looks like the driver's the one doing the job in there, defogging the windshield on the number 17 car. Have gotten the one to go signal. Field going to double up. We're going to get that one to go signal through turn 7 here today. Looks like one to go has been given in the field. I thought they were going to double up there, but the lights are still on the pace car, so wait and see what happens here. Looks like Tanner Reif has stayed out, so Tanner will assume the lead. Todd Souza will stay in the second position. Jake Drew in third. Takuma Koga and Daniel Dye will round out the top 5. That must be why I saw those cars running side by side. Tanner trying to get himself back up to the front of the field. He should be scored as the leader. Yellow flag still waving from the corner workers, so we will remain under the caution flag for at least another lap. Vince Little picked up the free pass under this caution flag. He's going to bring it down onto pit road. They're going to add a little fuel to the back of the number 85 car. Vince making his very first ARCA Menards West appearance. And it does look like it's becoming more and more challenging out on the racetrack. And now it does look like I'm going to put Todd Souza back up to the front of the field. I thought I saw Tanner Reif come on down pit road. I think there might have been a misunderstanding about how we're going to align the field. Cannot lose positions on pit road, but that's only with the cars that come down pit road. Cars, if those drivers choose to stay out, you will line up behind those drivers. And I think Tanner thought he might have been supposed to go back up to the front of the field, and that's just not the case. So we're going to put him back in line. Good view from our turn 1 camera. Now Todd Souza coming down pit road. Leader Todd Souza down on pit road. He can't see, so he's down to get that windshield attended to. Todd made his 100th series start at Kern County Raceway Park about a month ago. longtime supporter of Touring Series racing here on the West Coast. Longtime competitor in the old NASCAR Southwest Tour before making the move into the West Series. Michael Munoz and the guys trying to keep that windshield from fogging up on him. Going to be a tough challenge here today as the field continues to circulate behind Chuck Welch in the pace car. It looks like the rain coming down a little bit harder. This might be the hardest we've seen it rain. That's early in the day here in Portland. Lights off on the pace car. 1 to go signal given as they made their way through turn 7. So we will have Jake Drew and Takuma Koga up on row 1. Daniel Dye, Bridget Burgess back in row 2. Tanner Reif, PJ Pedroncelli back in row 3. Connor Mosack, Joey East, and Todd Souza round out the 9 cars on the lead lap. Austin Herzog, saw him down on pit road earlier. He's 1 lap off the pace in 10th position. As we get ready to go back, green flag racing as we come to complete lap 13. So we will have 15 laps until our scheduled break, scheduled competition caution, I should say, coming up at lap 28. Chuck Welch going to get out of the way of the thundering herd off of turn 12. Joe Contreras looking the field over as they come down this long front straightaway. Flag back out. Let's see what happens. Don't forget, we are going to bypass the chicane. Field going to thunder right on by it. And race down into turn 4. Connor Mosack back into 3rd. Already on this restart. Let's see if everybody can negotiate this corner. Remember what happened on the opening lap. Looks like everybody going to get through here cleanly this time. Eric Nascimento way up the racetrack trying to get out of the way of those lead lap cars. Jake Drew works his way through the S's. See what happens here as we come through turns 5, 6, and 7 onto the backstretch here. Takuma Koga going to give up the 2nd position. Now looks like he's going to give up the 3rd position as Daniel Dye works his way past Takuma in the 7 car for Team Motor Jerry Pitts. He was a top 5 finisher here last year. Takuma back in the 4th position in the number 7. Bridget Burgess in the 88 car having a great run so far. Conditions are miserable, but she's loving it. Bridget Burgess up to 5th. They work their way through turns 9, 10, 11, and 12. Back on to the long main straightaway here. Here comes Connor Mosack in the 17 car. We got 2 drivers with a lot of road course experience now up at the front of the field. Jake Drew driving for longtime team owner Bob Brancotti. Connor Mosack driving for Bruce Cook and Steve McGowan. Two drivers with a lot of experience turning left and right and racing in the rain. Looks like Jake might have skidded up the racetrack just a little bit right there. Let's see if Connor is able to capitalize here as they work their way through turns 5, 6, and 7. There's Daniel Dye lurking back there in the 43 car as well. top three evenly spaced as they work their way through turns 9, 10, 11, and 12, coming to complete lap 15. Connor Mosack going to dip to the inside a little bit. He just wants to get out of the spray, but right there, Vince Little going to fill that hole as they work their way into those festival corners, and Connor couldn't have caught that 85 car at a worse place at a worse time. He's going to give up a little ground to Jake Drew. He had to get off that preferred line going down into the chicane. That's going to allow Jake Drew to open up a little bit of a gap now over Connor Mosack right there. Connor giving up a little bit of ground. Down the backstretch one more time. Call it the back stretch. It's not really a straightaway, kind of a banana shape. Got a little bit of a curve to it, as you can see. Now we get hard on the brakes in turn 9 right here. 10, 11, and 12. Trio of right-handers before we get back out onto the main straightaway here. Replay right here. Look at all that water, and I saw a little bit of mud coming up from under that race car. Jake Drew using every inch and more of the racetrack. Tries to stretch that lead over Connor Mosack in second. Battle for fourth, fifth on the racetrack. Takuma Koga in fourth. He's going to be feeling some heat from Bridget Burgess. Unfortunately, Austin Herzog not in this battle for position. He is currently the first car one lap down, back in the 10th position. Also see Eric Nascimento in the mix. In the 54, we saw him off track a few moments ago. Been a tough season so far for Joey East, but despite the fact he's been off track, he's still looking pretty solid, currently sitting in the 6th position as we see it tightening up at the front of the field. Connor Mosack closing in, almost within reach of Jake Drew as they work their way down the front stretch. Connor going to try to drive it in deep down into turn 1. Not going to make it stick this time. But look, he is right there on the back bumper of Jake Drew as they work their way through Festival Chicane and now down off into turn 4. Connor using all of that road racing experience as he tried to outbrake Jake there into the first corner, and Jake starting to open it up a little bit. Here's the scramble outside the top 5. Battle for 4th and 5th on the racetrack, interspersed with a couple of lap cars. Eric Nascimento in the 4 car. He is a couple of laps off the pace. He leads this group. Austin Herzog, the tail of this 4 car run. First car 1 lap down. No windshield wiper on Bridget Burgess's car. Very interesting. Jake Drew looking to the inside of Andrew Tuttle as he works his way off into turn 9. Connor Mosak again catching a lapped car at the most inopportune of times. Gonna give up a little more ground. Jake Drew doing a good job winding his way through that traffic, but Connor not quite as fortunate. Connor was right there on the back bumper of Jake Drew last time through the chicane, and now you can't even see him back in the spray. There he is. Gave up a full second on the racetrack as Tanner Reif now catching up to the back bumper of Bridget Burgess. Tanner jumped from 8th to 6th on this lap, picking up a couple of positions, trying to work his way back up into the top 5. Ooh, Tanner gonna narrowly avoid. Don't know if he couldn't quite get that car slowed down the way that he wanted to, if he couldn't see Bridget right there, but he almost got into the back bumper of Bridget Burgess there coming down into turn 1. That could be a candidate for the Reese's Sweet Move of the race right there. Let's take a look at that action down into turn 1. Yeah, Tanner Reif doing a good job avoiding Bridget Burgess. Don't forget, you can log on to ARCA Racing's Twitter handle tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. at ARCA_racing. Cast your vote for today's Reese's Sweet Move of the race. That could be it right there. Nice job by Tanner Reif avoiding disaster down there going off into turn 1. There's Tanner picking up the win at Irwindale back in round number 2. Surprise victory for that young man. A lot of people haven't heard the name Tanner Reif before. He's wanted to get on everybody's radar screen here in 2022. And he also driving for a long time, team owner Bob Brancotti. This is a battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. How early they have to get off the throttle to get it woe down for this extremely tight set of corners down here. And it looked like Bridget really fighting the steering wheel that time as she was going through some standing water down there. Tanner kicking that car sideways as he works his way through as well. So again, very adverse conditions here at Portland. Everybody fighting not just the competition, but Mother Nature as well. It is duck weather here in Portland. That is a certainty. Circulating through the S's, turns 4, 5, 6, and 7. Windy portion. Again, highly technical section of the racetrack here. Want to get yourself set up for the very fast, very long, very fast backstretch. You want to hit these corners, particularly this section of the racetrack right here. You want to hit it just right. Ooh, we're going to see Tanner Reif off the racetrack. He didn't see Andrew Tuttle right there. Look at him fighting that race car. Tanner Reif off track, fighting that race car virtually the entire length of the backstretch. Didn't make any contact with another car or the wall, but he is going to give up a bunch of positions. But that's safe, folks. Again, we just talked. Oh, he's going to loop it around again. That save could be the Reese's. That could be a Reese's Sweet Move of the race right there, folks. What an impressive job of driving, not only to miss Andrew Tuttle, but to keep that car out of the outside wall. Great job by Tanner Reif. See the mud under that front valance right there all throughout the grill on that race car. But if that's the worst that Tanner comes away with there after that long slide, let's take another look at it. Keep an eye right there. You see Andrew Tuttle limping to the outside of the racetrack. Tanner didn't see him there through the spray. Got to the back bumper and made some evasive moves. He went to the left there. And look at him dirt tracking that race car. See that grass and that mud sliding up off of those tires. Thought he was going to be able to save it for just a minute, but eventually that car just kind of came around on him right there. And I mean, it's hard enough to keep these cars pointed in the right direction on the asphalt when it's raining this hard. Tanner really didn't have much of a chance once he got up off the racetrack, but what an impressive job of driving. And we're going to call that one of our candidates for the Reese's Sweet Move. Nice job to keep that car off the Andrew Tuttle machine and off the outside wall. Check out that windshield wiper on Takuma Koga's car. As we see Todd Souza getting turned around over there through turns 4, 5, and 6. That is a tough break for Todd. He had been up at the front of the field, was sitting back in the 8th position. See if we got to look at what happened down here as he drives in. I believe that's turn 6 right there. Just got a little high. Ooh, he gassed it a little bit trying to get away from Joey East and didn't quite have the traction. Only so much those general wet weather tires are going to be able to do in conditions like this. Todd Souza looping it around as he tried to take over the 7th position from Joey East. There's a look up at the front of the field. Pretty big gap that Jake Drew has built up now over Connor Mosack, sitting back in 2nd. Jake trying to get some redemption after last year here at Portland. You know, Jake had a pretty adventurous day. Had a couple of incidents on the racetrack that sent him to the back of the field last year. And he both times patiently worked his way back up to the front of the field and was in position to win in overtime. And of course, ARCA's rules in overtime on a road course, 1 attempt at a 1-lap finish. And Jake got a pretty good restart, but got down into that chicane and got a little shove from behind and ended up missing the chicane. Didn't come to a stop because he felt he had had some assistance. As we see Daniel Dye going around. Ooh, the fans cheering on that move. We might have had a little Joey Chitwood action down there in the chicane. The fans letting Daniel hear it as he went around in the number 43 car. See if we got to look at what happened down there. Look at that. Yeah. Yeah. That girl in the orange hoodie back there loving that action. Daniel Dye putting on a thrill show down there in turn 1. Daniel was running in the 3rd position right there. Don't know if we'll have to wait for scoring to refresh. See if he gave up any positions on the racetrack with his little Joey Chitwood impersonation down there into turn 1. And unfortunately, there's the tough results for Todd Souza getting turned sideways down there. He is now in danger of going 1 lap down to Jake Drew. There's Jake in the number 6 car working his way off into turns 1, 2, and 3. Todd Souza, the next car on the racetrack. I do understand that ARCA Menards Series officials have decided against the competition caution at lap 28. Teams have been informed no competition caution coming up at lap 28. We are going to run this one off to the finish. We made the leap from adverse conditions to challenging conditions here at Portland. Mother Nature really giving it to us here in the Pacific Northwest. Big Drew closing in on Todd Souza. He's a little sideways there down the backstretch. As we said, Jake looking for some redemption here. He came across the start-finish line in first position last year. ARCA officials said, no, you missed that first set of corners, so we're going to have to send you to the tail end of the lead lap. He was absolutely crestfallen, dejected. He's back with another shot at it here this year. There's Connor Mosack in the 17 car. Connor still holding on to that second position. He has dropped 11 seconds behind Jake Drew, who has really opened up an advantage at the front of the field. Daniel Dye, despite that spin, still holding on to the third position. Daniel's some 30 seconds behind Jake Drew. Takuma Koga in fourth. He is 57 seconds behind Bridget Burgess, a minute behind, rounding out the top five. There's a good look at Takuma. Look at that windshield wiper, folks. It's just decoration at this point. That thing's not doing too much as Takuma works his way off of the final corner here, and he's going to make his way down the long front straightaway here. Takuma Koga sitting in the fourth position, looking for another solid top five run here at Portland. You remember this race last year? Takuma almost got upside down right here last year on one of those crazy restarts. He got up and over the right rear tire of one of his competitors and just about tipped that thing over. That car, that Jerry Pitts owned car, built like a battle tank. Takuma stuck it out, ended up coming home in the fifth position. Looking to better it here today. And you know, this is one of those days, folks, you don't really need to get out there and knock fenders with your competitors. You don't need to get in there and mix it up with the other drivers. The racetrack itself is the main competition here today, and Takuma doing a good job keeping that car on the racetrack as he's got a comfortable gap on Bridget Burgess there. There's the battle between our two international drivers here today. Takuma, of course, out of Nagoya, Japan. Bridget, although her and her family have made up their residence in Tooele, Utah. Of course, the Burgesses originally from Brisbane, Australia. Here, Bridget was just a youngster, so her mom Sarah could chase after her dreams of participating in professional motorsports. And of course, Sarah, following her dream, has become the crew chief on this number 88 car for her daughter Bridget. Bridget works at the local McDonald's there in Tooele, Utah to help fund this operation. Oh, there's a tough break for Joey East. Talked about what a tough season he has had to this point, and Joey has stuck that car in the tire barriers there coming onto the main straightaway. Oh, tough break for Joey East. That's going to put us under the caution flag for the second time today. Contreras up in the flag stand. Hopefully won't be too busy here in the second half of this race. As they say, folks, cautions breed cautions. Let's take a look at the replay up here. Look way to the top of the screen, and it looks like he just got in a little too hot right there, and again locked the brakes up just like he did down in turn 4 earlier today. Doesn't look like he nosed it into those tire barriers too hard, but in any case, that car has stalled. Joey's stuck in the mud too, so he's going to need a little assistance to get that car out. Now, look how soft that ground is, folks. It is a challenge to say the least, on the racetrack. Once you get off of it, it's even more of a challenge. How about that? Someone's got a fire going here. He's got to be under a tent. There's no way. No way we would get a fire going here out in the open today. This is the only guy that doesn't care that it's raining here. The only guy in Portland. Ducks don't care. They love it when it's wet. See Bridget Burgess bringing it down pit road. I'm going to guess she came down to get that windshield defogged. Going to be my guess. Let's take a look at the radar. See what we're in store for. Looks like we might have a little bit of a break here. I don't know that we've got enough time to get the racetrack to dry out a little bit, but we might get to a point where it's not quite as wet out here. But if you look to the bottom left, I saw some yellow on that screen. We could be in for it later on in the race. Looks like we've got Joey out of the tires. We just need to get him back on the asphalt. AMR safety team on site. All right, they're going to say good luck, Joey. See if you can get it out. See if you can get it out on your own. All right, let's see. Don't spin the tires right. Don't spin them right there. You don't want to shower those safety workers in mud, and it does look like Joey's going to be able to get that car back out onto the racetrack. I do believe he has lost a lap here in this exchange, though, so there's a tough break for Joey East. He unfortunately was having a pretty solid day to this point, but again, we talked about a tough year for Joey so far. Only one top 10 finish for Joey East. And that was a 10th place down at Irwindale. Let's see how this guy does. Let's see if he's able to get it up on the green. That was a pretty good looking swing for the wet. You happy with it? It looks like he's happy with it. All right. Nice job. It is not a day for karts out on the links. That is for sure. PJ Pedroncelli bringing that car down onto pit road. A little under hood inspection going on. PJ picked up the pole last time out down at Kern County Raceway Park. He had a pretty solid season to this point. Couple of top 5 finishes, a pair of 5th places coming at Irwindale and Bakersfield. And hey, we got a long way to go here. We're just past the halfway point here at Portland, so anything can happen. The final 29 laps here at Portland International Raceway. It's like Jake Drew. Jake coming down pit road. Looks like he is. All the leaders coming on down pit road at this point. And it does look, unfortunately, like PJ Pedroncelli right there, going to go a lap down while his car sits on pit road. You know, we are under caution here at the midway point, so you might as well come on down, make your adjustments, add a little bit of fuel, get ready for the final run to the finish here. Looks like Jake has overshot his pit stall just a touch. Keep backing up, keep backing up. There you go, Jake. Andrew Tuttle going around in the 39 car. It has been a challenging day for Andrew in that number 39. That car not handling the way that he needs it to here today. But, hey, he's not giving up the fight. Andrew talked to him down at the season opener in Phoenix. He said, man, I am here. I am excited to be running in the ARCA Menards West. I'm I'm going to try to run every race. We'd like to get a couple of cars out there each and every week. So Andrew looking to become a factor here in the West Series in 2022. PJ Pedroncelli making his way back onto the racetrack. The work going on Bridget Burgess's number 88 car. Joey East leaving pit road. Of course, Joey, the reason for this caution flag. Jake Drew getting back underway in the number 6. We'll see how everything shakes out. Don't forget, you're not going to lose or gain positions down on pit road. As long as you don't get passed by the pace car, you will line up the way you came down pit road. So Jake should be the first car of the cars that did come down pit road. We'll have to see if anybody on the lead lap elected to stay out. I don't believe anybody did. That's why we don't see a big sense of urgency, because everybody knows they're going to get their spot back. Working on tire pressures on Tanner Reif's number 9. It does look like Daniel Dye elected to stay out. Recall seeing Daniel down on pit road there, and if that is the case, then Daniel will be scored as the leader and everybody else will fall in line behind him. And if that is the case, that's a tough break for PJ Pedroncelli, because he will then be ineligible for the wave around. Oh, looks like Takuma Koga, oh, he's going to get out. He is going to get out in time to remain on the lead lap. That is the only criteria to these modified live pit stops that we have here in the ARCA Menards series. Have to stay on the lead lap to retain your position. So we'll allow Takuma to move back around the racetrack, and he should line up back in the 4th position of those cars that did come on down pit road. Vince Little in the 85, the first car behind the pace car. He should get the wave around here. He's not on the lead lap. Still a good looking crowd here, folks. A lot of people sticking around for the end of this one. I have a feeling, I don't know why, I have a feeling we're going to see some excitement coming up in the second half of this one. What do you think those guys are talking about? Yeah, we're on TV. How about that? There we go. Yeah, everybody join in. Let's do it. Let's do it. I love race fans. Always having a good time. Doesn't matter if it's sunny and 70, cold and rainy. They are having a good time. Tony Stewart fan right there with the Jeff Gordon fan. Yeah, you're out. You made it. You're famous. All right. What do we call that dance? I don't know. The sprinkler, is that the dance? Is that what we call that one? They've all got some moves down there, I'll tell you that. They do. They've got some moves. Sunglasses today? Really? All right. That's I think we're going to call that optimism right there. Those are some cool shades though. Optimism. Field still circulating behind Chuck Welch in the pace car. 28 laps to go. Just past the halfway point. Why don't we take a look at the Richmond Water Heaters midway recap? Of course, working the second caution flag of the day here at Portland. First caution of the day came when Andrew Tuttle came to a stop down in turn 1. This caution coming out at lap 27. Joey East slid off the racetrack and into the tire barrier down in turn 12. Jake Drew scored as the leader. Connor Mosack, Daniel Dye, Takuma Koga, and Bridget Burgess rounding out the top 5. There's Takuma. He's finally caught the tail end of the field. He will slide back up into the 4th position. Get the 1-to-go signal this time around. Go back to racing with 27 laps to go. We've seen a few drivers up at the front of the field today. Daniel Dye led the field from the pole. Connor Mosack led some laps, and now Jake Drew showing the way in the number 6 car. Don't forget, we get the 1-to-go signal back in turn 7. We should get that this time around. Kind of give a big shout out to all of the camera operators we have here at Portland today. It has been one of those days, folks. A day made for a duck, but every one of these camera ops been out here in the elements all day long, giving us some great pictures. Certainly appreciate all your hard work. There we go. Appreciate you doing what you're doing here today. Know it's been a challenge. Here we are. Got to be a challenge keeping the water off of those lenses on a day like today, but they're doing it, folks, and they're bringing you some great pictures on a very challenging day here at Portland. Expect to see the lights go out on the pace car when we get over to turn 7. Just to the halfway point, elapsed time so far, 1 hour, 15 minutes. It has been a marathon day of racing here at Portland International Raceway. Still got a long way yet to go. And like I said, folks, I think we're going to see some action here in the second half of the Portland 112. Big shout out to everybody at Green Savory Promotions for their hard work out here at Portland as well. We look forward to coming back here in September. Second of 2 visits in the City of Roses. And of course the ARCA Menards Series racing at Mid-Ohio coming up in the month of July. So we look forward to that one as well. Appreciate everybody, their hard work at Green Savory as we double them up for the restart here. Jake Drew alongside Connor Mosack here for the restart. One more reminder, we are not going to use that chicane on this restart lap. Bypass that chicane, race down into turn 4. Now remember what happened on that opening lap. We saw Daniel Dye and Jake Drew drive it off into the grass down in turn 4. See if they're all able to keep it on the racetrack here this time. Pace car going to make the hard right turn down onto pit road. Jake Drew, Connor Mosack bringing the field off of turn 12 down to start finish. Daniel Dye, Tanner Reif, Takuma Koga, Todd Souza back up into the top 6. Bridget Burgess rounding out the lead lap cars. Green flag back out. Back underway here at Portland. Field going to blast through the chicane and make their way down into turn 4. Let's see what happens down here. Jake Drew being very conservative on this restart. But he has opened up a bit of a gap over Connor Mosack in second. Field stringing through single file. Nicely done by everybody as we keep it on the pavement. Connor Mosack starting to feel some heat now from Tanner Reif. The battle for second starting to heat up. Those two Sunrise Racing Team cars, the 6 and the 9, looking pretty sporty here in the rain at Portland. We see a car off at the top of the screen. Oh, Bridget Burgess off the racetrack and into the tire barrier. Bridget had a great race going. Bridget was as high as 5th, was sitting back in the 7th position. Final car on the lead lap, so she's not in danger of losing a position if she can get that car restarted, and indeed she does. She's going to join the tail end of the field. Going to give up a lot of ground after getting off track, but thankfully not going to give up any positions. There's the battle now for second and third. Mosack going to keep Tanner Reif at bay. Ooh, Reif going to go to the outside. He's going to bounce off the outside wall, folks. He's going to bring it to a stop down in the chicane. Tanner Reif getting into the wall going down into turn 1. If he can get it back up to speed and not give up any spots. No, he's going to give up a couple of positions. Daniel Dye and Todd Souza going by. Here's a look at what happened to Bridget down on the other end of the racetrack. Doesn't look like there's a lot of damage, but a tough break for Bridget Burgess. Now keep an eye on that car third in line. He sees Connor Mosack directly in front of him. He locks the brakes up and bounces it off the outside wall. Has to come to a stop, and he's going to give up some ground. Look who's back up to third. Todd Souza in the 13 car. We saw him off track a little bit ago. He was back in the 10th position just about 5 or 6 laps ago. Todd Souza already working his way back up into third. He's got Daniel Dye all over the back bumper. Dye going to try to swing to the outside down the backstretch. Dye's got the preferred line going into turn number 9 right here. See who's, oh, look at Todd Souza. Gonna chop off Daniel Dye right there. He wants to hold on to that third spot. These guys getting a little aggressive here in the second half of the Portland 112. Todd pushing way up the racetrack though. That's going to allow Daniel to try to look to the inside. Side-by-side battle as they come through the mist and the fog down the front stretch. Daniel Dye going to have the preferred line down into the festival chicane right here. If Todd can hold him off, and he's going to try it. Now Todd's got the preferred line. Todd Souza going to hold on to that third spot. Good racing here. Even in these adverse and challenging conditions, this is a great battle for third and fourth. Of course, Daniel Dye normally competes full-time in the National ARCA Menards Series Tour. They've got the aforementioned race coming up at Mid-Ohio, and again another road course race coming up at Watkins Glen International. Daniel Dye has never raced on a road course before today. He came out here to Portland to get a little road course experience under his belt. He's hanging in there, doing a pretty good job right now, holding on to that 4th position. Scrapping with Todd Souza. Pretty heated battle for third and fourth going on right now. Still 24 laps to go. Long way to go here at Portland International Raceway. Andrew Tuttle, his adventures continue. Another off-track excursion. See the mud starting to come out from underneath that number 39 car. Let's take a look at what happened to Andrew. Ooh, looks like he bounced it off of the tire barriers down there. I believe that's down in the turn 4, 5, and 6 complex. A lot of mud packed up underneath that car. It has been a long day for Andrew Tuttle. They back in the 13th position. I believe that's Tanner Reif feeling some heat from Austin Herzog. Tanner on the lead lap, Austin a couple of laps down in that 16 car. Koga in the number 7, currently back in the 6th position. Windshield wiper looks like it's doing a little bit better than it was about 15 minutes ago, but I don't know how much help that's given Takuma. I still think that's just for decoration at this point. They're not supposed to move around that much. Not supposed to move. Should be a good clean swipe up and down. A lot of movement on that windshield wiper. I've had some of them like that on my personal car many, many years ago, driving in the snow and salt and slush up here in the Midwest. Pretty frustrating when you can't get a clean view out of the windshield. So Takuma doing a nice job holding on to that 6th position in traffic on a miserably wet weather day here in Portland. Follows Austin Herzog down the backstretch. It's the distance between Daniel Dye in 4th, Tanner Reif in 5th. Back in the 54 car. Oh, don't do it again, Joey. Joey almost getting that car turned around. Off of turn 12. Joey back in the 10th position, but he has lost a couple of laps after going off course right before the midway point here this afternoon. We're going to jump back up to the front of the pack. There's Jake Drew. Jake driving off again into the distance. He's got an 8-second lead now over Connor Mosack in 2nd. You know, it was a very, very good season for Jake Drew here last year. Of course, Jake narrowly missing victory here. Had the situation going down into that festival chicane on the final lap. But overall, it was a really good season for Jake. And as a matter of fact, tied Jesse Love for the season championship. They came across the start finish line. When Jake came across the start finish line in the finale at Phoenix, he had the points lead and presumptively the championship. But in the time it took for the rest of the field to come around and complete the race, Jesse Love picked up 1 additional position and gained 1 additional point, and that put him in a tie. Of course, Jesse had a pair of victories and Jake had none, so unfortunately he lost the tiebreaker. But right now Jake looking for career win number 1, looking for some redemption here at Portland. And despite the fact that it is a miserably challenging day weather-wise, everything going Jake Drew's way so far. Even got off course earlier today. Come from the back of the field and has driven away, looking to build on that points lead. He's got a 5-point advantage over Tanner Reif, his teammate. Cole Moore coming into today 3rd in the point standings, 6 points back. So right now Jake Drew looking to build on that points advantage as he has built on the advantage in the race. He is driving away from the field, now nearly 10 seconds the advantage over this guy, Connor Mosack, sitting back in 2nd. Connor, 23 years of age, didn't start racing until he was 18 years old, almost unheard of in today's racing environment. Normally see drivers, particularly at this level, most drivers start racing when they're 5, 6, 7 years old. Connor didn't start racing until he was 18. Has already climbed through the ranks. Now competing here in the ARCA Menards series. We've seen him last couple of years down at New Smyrna Speedway for the World Series of Asphalt Racing. He's running full-time in the Trans Am Series, making some select appearances for Brett Holmes Racing in the ARCA Menards Series, as well as select super late model races all across the country. Made his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut earlier today for Joe Gibbs Racing. Have the number 18 car as we see Daniel Dye off the pace. Looks like Daniel missed the chicane. He had to come to a stop before getting back on the hammer. So Daniel going to give up some ground to Todd Souza. Daniel still holding on to that 4th position. Tanner Reif, the next position on the racetrack. Let's see if we got a look at what happened down here. And it looks like he cooked it in a little bit too hard going down into turn 1. Rule is you have to come to a stop. As soon as you stop, you can get back on it. Daniel got it slowed down as quickly as he could. Thankfully for him, didn't give up another position on the racetrack. Tanner Reif closing in though. Tanner was about 10 seconds behind Daniel before that action, and there's the driver, the number 9. He's closing in ever so slightly after Daniel missed the chicane. Been an adventurous day for Daniel Dye. At least 3 off-course excursions for this young man. Of course, recently graduated from high school. A lot of standing water here at Portland. See those raindrops continuing to fall. To look at the radar a little bit ago, it looked like we were in the middle of a gap at that point, but then behind that gap, it looked like it was going to pick up a little bit. I believe we're through the gap. I think we're into that. It's going to come down, and it's going to come down a little bit harder throughout the rest of the day segment of the afternoon as Daniel Dye comes back down the front stretch. Way through the chicane. That's a good look at that chicane down there. Ground level. Daniel picked up his first ARCA Menards Series victory last year up at Berlin Raceway. Head back to Berlin here coming up on June 18th. ARCA doubleheader coming up next Saturday. We'll kick things off with the West Series. They'll be in action down at Sonoma Raceway. Then the nightcap for the ARCA Menards Series at Iowa Speedway. Of course, the Sonoma race live here on Flow. Iowa Speedway live on MAV TV. It'll be good to have Chris Devoda, Jim Trado, Mike Massaro, and the gang back with us. Our leader, Jake Drew, working his way through the chicane one more time. Now just 18 laps to go. His way through turn 4, down into turn 5. There's turn 6 right here. Ooh, looks like he almost slid up off the racetrack. Down into turn 7 right here. Turn 8 down the long back stretch here at Portland International Raceway. Ooh, Jake, he's still pushing it. Car sliding through that backstretch. Car control for the driver of that number 6. Of course, Jake's got a lot of road course experience. Started his career in karting. He's used to turning left and right. We're going to get the 2 to go signal here at start finish. Weather conditions going to bring us to an early end here today. 2 to go here at start finish. Mother Nature not playing nice with the ARCA Menards Series West here at Portland International Raceway. So 2 to go, given here at the line. And there's why, folks. That yellow on the radar quickly approaching. Weather conditions only going to get worse. ARCA Menards Series West Director Chris Wright making the call. We're going to shorten this one up. Jake Drew, a lap and a half away from looking at the checkered flag. We'll see the white flag this time around. Jake looking for career win number 1. Understand a lot of concern about visibility from drivers as we see Todd Souza just about sliding through that chicane down there. Ooh, look at him hopping it back on the racetrack. Those curbs in the chicane, not too kind. As Jake Drew working his way through turns 9, 10, 11, and 12. He will be looking at the white flag this time around. Jake Drew came to Portland looking for redemption. He is 1 lap away from finding it. White flag up this time around for Jake Drew. There's Joe Contreras. Can barely see him through the mist and the fog and the rain, waving that white flag. A little bit of the mercy rule in action with that white flag as well. It's kind of what we associate the white flag with. Well, yeah, it's a little bit of mercy here today. We're going to have mercy on these race teams and let them load up and head to Sonoma and fight another day, as visibility and safety concerns here going to bring this race to an early end. Jake Drew working his way through the twisty section, turns 4, 5, 6, and 7 for the final time. Irwindale Speedway Ford for longtime team owners Bob and Maureen Bruncotti. Members of the West Coast Stock Car Hall of Fame, Jake Drew looking for career win number 1. Making his way through turns 7 and 8 for the final time. Down this long back stretch. No pressure from behind, no lap cars to deal with, only Mother Nature standing between Jake Drew and that first ever ARCA Menards Series West checkered flag. Down into turn 9 for the final time. All he's got to do is keep it on the racetrack through the final section of quarters. 10, 11, and 12. Jake Drew onto the start-finish line for the final time. He will be looking at the checkered flag and add his list to the long list of drivers who have picked up a win in the ARCA Menards Series West. Jake Drew picking up the checkered flag here at Portland. Redemption after a frustrating end to this race here last year. Joe Contreras with the checkered flag. Let's take a look at what happened here on the final lap to his teammate, Tanner Reif. Tanner caught up in some lap traffic. Eric Nascimento going to get into the left rear and send Tanner around on that final lap. Window net is down. Jake Drew celebrating a very wet victory here at Portland International Raceway. Connor Mosak across in second. Todd Souza with a great run coming home in third. You think he's excited? It's a year in the making for Jake Drew. Fitting that first victory coming here at Portland after that frustrating end to his run here last year. has been a long, wet day of racing here at Portland International Raceway. Of course, AJ Allmendinger picking up the win. In the NASCAR Xfinity Series, AJ went off track before the green flag even came out. Jake Drew picking up the win here in the ARCA Menards Series West. He got off course just after the green flag. Fought his way back from the tail end of the field. He's going to park it down in victory lane, celebrate with Bill Sedgwick and the crew. His first ever ARCA Menards Series West victory. Folks, that's going to do it for us here at Portland International Raceway. Appreciate all of the teams, all of the drivers, all of the camera operators, and all of the fans for sticking with us on a very long, wet, challenging day. We look forward to seeing you with us next Saturday for the General Tire 100 from Sonoma Raceway. For everybody here at Flow, my name is Charlie Crawl. We look forward to seeing you with us right back here next Saturday. Until then, so long, everybody.